something wrong with you. I think there's some pathology that you have. There's something, intrinsically wrong with your personality if you feel the need to govern other people and tell them what to do. Getting there by consensus, of course, would be preferable. We are, as a species, not mature enough to do that. Maybe one day. In the meantime, though, I'm for a benevolent dictatorship, to be honest with you. That's what the ancient Greeks did. When things got out of hand, they appointed a tyrant for life, and he always a he, used to run the show. Pericles was one of those, and Pericles ruled Athens for 30 years. 30. And you know how many pages in the textbook that is? None. It's just... Okay?
That's probably what you've never learned about him, guys.
That's right. It's a paragraph. It's called the Golden Age or the Periclean Age of Athens. So 30 years. Just after that, I think, or before, either before or after, now you can kill me, I'm not sure, are the Peloponnesian Wars, which in total lasted, I think, 6 or 7 years. 30 pages. 30 pages on the Peloponnesian Wars, a paragraph on the Golden Age of Pericles, which lasted for 30 years and led to the greatest constructions of public buildings and public welfare and trade and ships that Athens had ever seen. That's how we work as a species, guys.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Sorry, it's a bit of a rant there.
No. But you know what? It's actually pretty good. Look, the first thing I'm doing is not asking you to forego your voting privileges. Do not do that. You're not using your voice. If you think you're using your voice, not doing it, you really make a mistake. What was it last night? I think that it was said at the table. We had if it was voting was compulsory, it'd be only Democrats that won.
Yeah,
right, in the US, right? And we've talked about this. If only the voting minority of women only voted, there'd be a decisive win. If any one of the minorities in the US stood up and actually all voted, they would beat that. That's a higher percentage of them than there are people who actually vote in the US. So you know what? Good luck, guys. That's all I can say. It's like Kang and Kodos.
Yeah. It's the thing. Exactly right. We will enslave you, and we will also enslave you, but then we will eat you. It's like, it's astonishing. Sometimes I think the only people that vote in the States, in the United States, that is, are the people that actually go to the speeches and the rallies and the congressional meetings. So not congressional, but the party meetings. The Republican, the super something, Super Tuesday, super something. There's like all these meetings you guys have, and I'm not entirely sure how this whole thing works. You've got the collegiate votes, you've got the votes that come from the people. And it's it's a ratio-based thing, and now you got the Diebold machine, so it doesn't really matter what you do anyway, because there's no paper trail, so you knock yourself out and vote whatever you like. It's not going anywhere because the vote has already been decided, and not that it matters as to which candidate wins. One is a millionaire that doesn't know anything about the common man, and the other guy grew up privileged. Okay?
Yeah. Let's not make that mistake.
And he didn't actually have a job ever. Okay? Barack Obama never really had a job. And that's okay too, I guess. Working is for suckers. So it doesn't matter who you vote for. If there were an independent candidate, someone out of left field, that would be amazing. But you know how much money it takes these days to win anything in the States? And the reason Dave and I talk about it, because it's important. The United States of America is still a very important country, maybe the most powerful country in the world right now, right? Next to China.
Agreed.
And it matters who runs it. And it matters how America behaves. So apparently they spent billions this time around on the campaign. Billions. What?
Dude, that's crazy.
What?
I know.
Man.
Do you know if every election's money was actually put into the economy, I think you'd just be throwing money into the ocean. You'd have too much of it.
Yeah. It's insane, man.
It'd be the most successful nation on the planet if that's what you were doing, right? But if you're just spending money so that you can come in power and to do what? Hang on, just remember, not do what the people voted you for.
Yeah, well, no, we need more. We need more taxes, and the rich, they shouldn't pay taxes because they're
rich. They shouldn't.
Yeah, it's too hard to pay taxes. I mean, it takes time out of their busy day. Whereas you're probably making, I don't know, $10 an hour or $5 an hour minimum wage, whatever. You got lots of time, right? So you better pay those taxes because you can actually fill that in, and then half your money is taken away by the direct taxes, and another 30% going by the indirect taxes. By the time you left out of your $5, you got 50 cents, and you better not spend it all in one place, I tell you.
No, no. I like what did you name the new automated system as? The voting system?
Debolt machines.
Yeah, the Diebold. So the only reason they have those is so that they can laugh after the election and go, look, that's how many people wanted the other guy.
Do you remember the Simpsons clip when Homer goes to vote? This is a couple of years ago now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was Bush, and back then I think it was Obama as well. I think it was a Bush Obama election. And one square said Bush, and the other square said Obama, and you just click on one, right?
Yeah.
And Homer tries to vote for Obama. He can't because it keeps escaping. There used to be this thing that went around. If you want $1 million.
You're chasing it around with the mouse.
Yeah, of course. If you hit Bush, that's fine, no problem at all. That was straight through. I thought it was priceless. And the problem is that there is no paper trail, and there's no.
You voted for this.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, once you click right or you vote, that algorithm registers your vote, your machine, and then goes into one of two databases, and there it sits. But you don't know what algorithm sits between your mouse click and then the database. So it's not happy that, you know what, 75% of all clicks, irrespective of where they went, go into the Bush box.
That's exactly right. If you've known anything about the bad side of the internet, it's all completely possible. It really is.
It seems to be okay though, because that was raised in the States, and I don't know what happened to that. I haven't followed it, but it was raised as an issue, and they go, no, it's okay. We have the database. You have the database. You've got the end state. You don't know how you got there. Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hilarious. Do you know? I don't know, and I don't want to go on about it, but let's just see what happens, because the last time. No, the second last time, you voted for someone and it. Oh, McCain, I think, not Bush. It was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Maybe, yeah.
we're getting corrected. So I think it's funny. It doesn't even matter who you vote for. They're just going to put anyone in anyway. So what's the difference between that and the dictatorship, really, Mickey?
Well, the answer is we have the illusion of freedom.
That's iron. Gee, that takes me back.
But see, that's important, and this is the thing. You can, this is okay. You can do whatever you want to someone who has freedom. You can punish them to this. It's because it's within the system. It's laws, and it's all right. It's the rule of law, and it's regulations, and there's due process, and all those wonderful things, right? In actual fact, no, there isn't anymore. And you don't have any freedoms anymore. You can't do what you want. Certainly, in Australia, we can do less than you can do in the States. So you have more freedoms than we do. That's a fact. But it's also true that we have moved into dictatorship. Patriot Act 2, Patriot Act 1 and 2, and certainly in Australia, we've got a few bills that were passed. Globally, most democracies or so-called democracies have moved in that direction, and it's really, and we have welcomed it. This is the thing, Dave. We said yes, please take our liberties away, please. No, guns are bad. Look, this person has got a beard and a funny turban. We better detain him indefinitely.
For some reason.
In fact, no reason. It doesn't matter. So we have actually asked for that. So somebody created a problem. And you're probably all familiar with this, the problem, reaction, problem, reaction, and then solution. So problem is presented or manufactured, and everybody shouts for a solution. Oh, please, Mr. Government Almighty, just help us out. We're suffering and we're insecure and we're afraid and we feel small. And the solution is presented by the all-powerful government, much to our joy. Of course, a couple generations later, it's not so joyful. Same happened in Germany in 1933. Germany was in deep trouble. I'm telling you, deepest trouble. And Mr. Hitler came along and said, "I've got all the solutions." And the Germans goes, "Hurrah!" Well, not all Germans, say that. It's true that. But he did offer solutions, and he made things better. He did. He built the roads, and he got rid of unemployment because he started a war economy. You need a lot of people building armaments.
You lose a lot of, you gain jobs.
Yes, 100%.
Simple as, yeah.
Absolutely. So
you lose people, but you gain jobs. The percentage goes down. It's a great solution.
It's yeah. So and look, we're just moving in a similar direction because we're living in a crisis situation. Dave and I spoke about this as well. We probably mentioned in the show. We'll quickly say it, then we go into the show's topic today. But we are living in a time where the conditions that existed prior to World War I and prior to World War II are now in evidence. So you've got high unemployment, you've got an existing superpower and an emerging superpower. So America and China back in World War One, it was Great Britain and Germany. You've got secret alliances potentially. Prior to World War II, you had high unemployment. You had a global financial crisis. They used to call it the depression, the stock market, 20s. So we had something similar. So both conditions exist, and the only way out of both conditions, or either condition, prior to World War One and World War Two, was a world war. So unfortunately, we now have we have doubled the potential for a potential war, which may or may not involve China and America, certainly a large-scale conflict. And we have also have got population pressures, or so they tell us. And not true, really, because we have enough resources for everybody. We just don't want to give them away, because that would depress the market price for them. So but that's just a quick aside, which has nothing to do with today's show, which is about things, Dave.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just relaxing back in my chair. We're doing show number 33, and do you know what? I only discovered what the show is this afternoon, or pretty close to the end of the show. I'm not pointing fingers, Mickey. It's awesome because last night we had no clue. And do you know what? Show 33. Wow, I've heard that number before. I remember we talked about it on the moon.
Mhm.
And 33 in the Masons number. It's all coming back. So, why not? I mean, it was 2 months out from 2012. We did that last week. I think show number 33, it deserves something special.
I agree. We're going to talk about the number 33 a little and elucidate you. How about that?
All right, so did you want to read them one by one?
No. Before we do that, we will all out there and the skeptics. So Dave and I have compiled a bunch of questions, and we challenge you, because I know you're listening out there, and I don't care if you work for the government or if you just you like to do this on your own. We at the end of the show we will ask these questions, or toward the middle of the show, depending on how we go with the number 33. We will ask the questions. We will elaborate a little on them, but I challenge you. And Dave challenged you as well. I'm just speaking for him here.
Mm-hmm.
We challenge you to answer them, not with, oh, you don't understand, or, you're not a scientist, or, oh, look, it was solved somewhere else, but we can't remember where, or, it's all humbug. I don't want to hear anything like that. I want you to come back to me and maybe to freedomslips.com. I don't care who you email, as long as the answers come back to us. Seriously. So there's a whole bunch of questions. So if you wait to a little later, they'll come up. And really, if you can answer them, I will on air read all the answers for all the debunking and all the explanations that you think are reasonable. That's my promise to you. We will, right, Dave? We will. If they're good answers, we'll read them out.
Oh, look, and if you want to be qualified against as the person who said them, we're more than happy to do that.
That's right.
All right, because there's nothing better than saying, well, actually, you were right. Right? So, just before we do it, we'll announce the email address you can send it to. You can put it in the chat room, but we prefer that you contact us. If you like, you can put it in the chat. You've got. I prefer that you try to do it either not straight away, but in the week. And if you are going to listen to this show on YouTube later on, please don't hesitate. Still, at any time, you can answer these questions. Right, but please don't, like Mickey says, don't say, oh, just because. Don't do a parent's answer on it. Oh, just, eat your ice cream, just because, right? Try to be realistic.
Oh, no, kryptonite.
All right, because look, this is basically, and Mickey's done a great job putting these questions together. And some of those, I know, some came up last night. There's that debunking video that was pretty much against the Ancient Aliens guys, and the similar questions came up. Now, look, we don't want to give you information without having relevant truth behind it. So yeah, poke holes in it, whatever it is, but give us a real reason behind it. The way you think, if it's not the absolute truth, if you can come up with an answer to say, well, that was because, and just one question just to get you thinking about it, just to get the juices flowing, is how and why were the pyramids built?
Yeah.
If you can give us a real answer, go ahead.
In fact, if you're an engineer or an architect and have got some ideas, we'd love to hear them.
And we'd always also like to hear the word when.
Yeah,
When were they built?
that would be a good idea. Right. Show number 33 is the show of questions and the show of the number 33, which in itself is quite an amazing number. We'll go back to the ESP track next week, so the extrasensory perception, all that stuff. But 33, I think, Dave, I think we decided it did warrant its own investigation to some extent.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I just wanted to start. I want to start with one number 33 that you haven't listed that I just remembered about. It is in Edwards Air Force Base in California. The one and only airport. Sorry, the one and only air strip. I think it runs east-west.
Mm-hmm.
It's only one airstrip, and have a guess what the runway number is.
Okay, I'm going to take a step in the dark here.
Have a guess.
3?
33?
33?
33 it is.
Go.
Doesn't make sense. Makes no sense. You call it runway 1.
So there's one strip and it's called strip 33.
That's right.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Remember the Masons started NASA, so, that makes sense.
That's very strange, dude. Look, from a numerology point of view, and we're going to talk about numerology in another show, the number 33 stretches as a latitude line, which is, across the breadth of the Earth, across many diverse cultures. And it's known in numerology as the master teacher. That's the number 33. It's the most influential of all numbers, apparently, indicating selfless devotion to the spiritual progress of humankind. Interesting. The other two master numbers, which are 11, which is vision, and 22, which is vision coupled with action, form the base of a two-dimensional pyramid and added together, equal 33. Which represents guidance to the world, which then forms the apex of the pyramid. Now, interestingly, on the reverse of the Masonically inspired Great Seal of the United States, which is, what you have on your dollar bill, the pyramid with the eye, is the pyramid with the all-seeing eye of divine reason at its apex. According to Freemasonry, 33 is considered sacred because in most cases there's no higher degree or level to which a Mason may aspire.
Mm-hmm.
So you see there's a connection there that goes from numerology into Freemasonry onto your money. So it's a very immediate thing, right? You hold it in your hand every day. Most people don't ask the questions. So 33 is the highest degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. There is also a hidden 34th degree I heard about, but we'll talk about that some other time. Now, this 33rd degree is called the meritorious degree, the degree of the Illuminati, whose motto is Ordo ab Chao, or order out of chaos, or out of order comes chaos, which literally means they break down the existing structure and cause the population to cry out for order, and then they will emerge as the rulers and will have the world that they seek.
Gee, that sounds very current.
Yes, doesn't it?
It sounds current. Isn't it something do you think? I think we do. I think we're getting to a point where we're just going to say, hey, everyone, look, there's just one currency. It's all good. New World Order. Yeah, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
When you can't buy food in the shops, yeah?
No, absolutely. This is where we're at. It's immediate. These things, even though they seem as coincidences, the numbers matter. And symbols matter, right, Dave? I mean, it's not like these are all chance products.
No, you're absolutely right. I'd always wondered about the LP. What speed did you play that at?
Would that be 33?
Yeah, absolutely. RPMs.
33. So 33 records per minute. It's interesting. Do you know what the number or the atomic number for arsenic is?
Oh, hang on. Can I have a guess? 33.
Very good. There's other things. How many vertebrae do you think we have in human?
Ooh, I'm going to say 33.
And correct again. and can I have the Newton scale for 50, Bob? And what is the temperature according to the Newton scale at which water boils?
33.
And what was Newton?
33.
That's right. He was at one stage, but he was also a Freemason.
Oh, excellent. He was 33 times a real person. He was a Mason.
Now, the interesting thing is this. In Freemason symbolism, 33 or 32, and then just under 33, that's where water is frozen. Sorry, where water is not frozen, but rather not boiling, right? But as soon as it boils, knowledge is released, or turmoil comes about. I'm sure that Newton didn't come up with this scale by accident. I mean, Celsius, or shows 100, for instance, when water boils. Which sense in the decimal system.
I'm going to tell you that if you heat water to 33 degrees, though it's not boiling, it starts to give off humidity.
Hmm.
Up until then, it's just cold.
But that's the centigrade scale.
Yeah,
Centigrade.
that's Celsius. No, that's Celsius. Yeah, you're right. Centigrade. Yeah, but only at 33 degrees does it start to give off a vapor.
Oh, so it starts simmering.
Yeah. In fact, that's like not a low boil, but if you have say ocean water and
Hmm.
it's 32 degrees, yeah, it gives off a little bit. But once it hits 33, that's the hurricane. That's going to make a cyclone or a hurricane.
Oh, interesting.
So it really starts pouring it out. I mean, it's the greatest loss of the mass of water by heating it to 33 degrees.
Hmm. That's interesting stuff. It's interesting also that the number 33 appears in religion a lot. In fact, in the Bible, we have 33 all over the shop. And in fact, Elohim, which is the divine name of God, appears 33 times in the book of Genesis. 33 times exactly. And Leg Baum,
Wow,
which is
didn't
a
know
minor.
that.
Yeah, right. Need that before I started looking into it. And Leg Baomer, which is a minor Jewish holiday, falls on the 33rd day of the Omer, which is a month, obviously, in Judaism. So Jesus apparently was 33 when he was crucified in 33 AD, because he was born in 0, right? So obviously, if he's 33, then it would be 33 AD when he was crucified. But it hasn't been verified historically. And apparently, according to Al-Ghazali, who's a Muslim prophet, no, sorry, well, not so much a prophet, but a holy man, the dwellers of heaven will exist eternally in a state of being aged, Dave,
33.
correct again. It's interesting because when we researched, and this just came to me, when we researched the monotonic and the reversal of aging and whatnot, the age that everybody appeared to be at or stopped aging was 33. So
That's true too.
that's strange, I think. Also, interestingly, 33 recorded miracles. Okay, so that's in the Bible as well, and 33 is also the numerical representation of the Star of David. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's on the Israeli flag, sort of two triangles.
Hmm.
Yep. And Pope John Paul I was the 33-day Pope, one of the shortest reigns in papal history, and resulted in the most recent three-pope year. But so 33 days. So he was actually considered a reformer, and a lot of people believe that he was killed because he would have reformed the church in ways that most of the powerful people in the church, Catholic Church, wouldn't like. And we've also discussed that 33 is the highest known degree in Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And interestingly enough, Dave, the number 33 was discovered to lead to the essential meaning of life in the Bible in Dan Brown's 2009 novel, The Lost Symbol. So he's hooking into the Masonic knowledge there, Masonic lore. Interestingly enough as well, Alexander the Great is supposed to have died at the age of 33. So,
Gee, you know what? I didn't. Who knew?
exactly. Now, the next one Dave, this is actually really, really interesting, right? Um, I'm going to say this very slowly, guys, because there's a lot in here. Harry S. Truman. Everybody knows the president, right? Harry S. Okay. Now, some say that the S, and I have no idea if this is true because I haven't been able to find it, stood for Solomon. So maybe Harry Solomon Truman. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just making that up. He was the 33rd president and also a 33rd degree Mason And he's the guy that initiated the nuclear age, the crowning success of alchemy, or so it's called. When the first A bomb exploded on the 33rd parallel Trinity test site, Almagordo, which I've had problems in the past pronouncing, but which I now have phonetic, which is why it Sands, New Mexico. Then Mason and exploded the first atomic bomb in the nuclear age, in the modern nuclear age, at the 33rd parallel at the Trinity test site. He was responsible for killing of thousands of Japanese at two cities close to the
33rd parallel. Can I guess what they are?
on.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Exactly. Now that's a bit strange, no? So that was July 16th, 45. The first atomic device, the gadget, was the Trinity site. In fact, it was New Mexico, exactly at 33 degrees 41 minutes north latitude. And Spanish explorers originally called this area La Jornada del Muerto, Journey of the Dead.
Wow.
Yeah, but now the site is marked by a small stone obelisk erected 20 years or so after the explosion, so 1965 or something. Now, this may have been Masonically inspired because we see obelisks everywhere, and they're usually connected to Masons.
Well, I'm going to be honest here. I think a Mason has to cut them. I think you are a Mason by trade if you cut a stone. So I like the connection. I really do. This is awesome stuff.
It's incredible. On August 6, 1945, at 8:15 a.m., exactly, United States bomber B-29, Enola Gray, on mission
Gay.
13. And 13 is a very important number, which we will discuss at some other time.
Enola Gay.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. Okay, that's right. On Hiroshima, near the 33rd parallel. And this was day one of the new age, the nuclear age. And as I said, it runs parallel. The Hiroshima and Nagasaki are on a line that runs through the 33rd parallel. 2 years after the war ended, the modern flying saucer age began in earnest when something crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. You know what the location was of that? 33 degrees, 26 minutes north latitude.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not finished yet.
Hang on, my brain is spinning.
True.
This is awesome.
True. Now, of course, if you're a debunker skeptic, you can dismiss it, and the truth is, you can dismiss most of the things that we say, but I just find it interesting. Now, to understand the change that took place with that event, we must back up and look at the importance of the number 13 from the formation of the United States to the atomic bomb's explosion in Hiroshima. So I told you that the 13 is important as well, but we'll get back to 33. Now, in 1935, Paul Foster Case wrote, since the date 1776 is placed on the bottom course of the pyramid on the Great Seal, and since the number 13 has been so important in the history of the United States and in the symbols of the seal, it is not unreasonable to suppose that the 13 courses of the pyramid may represent 13 time periods of 13 years each. Now, this is interesting. The 13 time periods of 13 years each equaled 169 years. So, from July 4, 1776 to July 4, 1945 equals exactly 169 years. Guess what?
I can smell maths coming.
4, 1945 to August 6, 1945. It was exactly
33 days.
Oh, again, you can feel free to dismiss it and laugh at it. But there it is. I didn't make it up. That's what happened. All right. President Kennedy, to move on, was wounded in the exact same spots as Hiram Abiff. Now, Hiram Abiff was the widow's son. Memory, I could be wrong there, but essentially he was murdered in the Masonic initiation, representing the persecution of the Templars on Friday the 13th in the year 1307, where Hiram Abiff is struck in the back and in the throat and in the head. So it is a Masonically related murder, if you will. Dealey Plaza is a very few short miles from the 33rd parallel as well. Right? So there's something to that number. There's no doubt about it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the poet Dante. He wrote the Inferno or the Divine Comedy. So this is where he goes to hell and hell and all that. Now, this is in the 13th, early 14th century. Ends his canto, which is a chapter, chapter 33 of the Purgatory, or the second section of the Divine Comedy, with these words: perfect, pure, and ready for the stars. Canto 33 of the Paradiso, so the 33rd chapter of Paradiso, or the third section of the Divine Comedy, concludes with lines about the poet being turned, as in a wheel whose motion nothing jars, by the love that moves the sun and the other stars. So, is it more than a coincidence that the 33rd canto chapter of each section concludes with parallel lines regarding the celestial? May it not be from a lost ancient tradition? And was Dante privy to this information? Don't know. And this is a kicker. How many turns or number of turns are in a complete sequence of DNA, Dave?
Ooh, 33.
Blowing my mind.
He's a winner. He's on fire.
Stuff. Yeah, it's that's right. That's right. And just as an aside, there are 33 sections to the United Nations on the inner emblem logo. There's a circle with Earth and the continents on it, and if you count them, there are 33 sections to the United Nations.
Wow, that looks like blocks and sectors if you're looking at hard disk.
That's exactly right. So, what does it all mean? Well, maybe nothing. Maybe it means the number 33, and certainly the 33rd parallel, seems to hold a lot of mysteries on the planet. But also, along the 33rd parallel, there are a lot of sites. There's, for example, the city of Phoenix in Arizona, which is located exactly at 33 degrees 30 minutes latitude, and before it was Phoenix, Arizona, it was the center of the ancient Hohokam culture, which is obviously a Native American culture. And the largest site of the Hohokam is known as Snaketown, and it's about 5 miles north of the 33 degrees line, while the ruins of the observatory called still rest about 5 miles south of the line. So the Hohokams have obviously inhabited this 33-degree parallel, both north and south of it, at about the same time that Alexander the Great and the Ptolemaic dynasties in Egypt started. And they built one of the world's most extensive irrigation systems in that area. Because I don't know if you know, but Phoenix, Arizona is extremely dry, right? It's in the desert, and they had an irrigation system, and apparently the canals ran to a length of about 500 miles and irrigated over 25,000 acres in the Phoenix Basin. It's quite an engineering feat if you think about it. So quite an advanced civilization that lived on the 33rd parallel there. All constructed with mere digging sticks, they say. Well, that's what the archaeologists say, and stone implements and woven baskets and whatnot. It appears that no wheelbarrows or draft animals were used, but we don't know that. So it is quite fascinating. Southwestern archaeologist H.M. Wormington says that the scope of the canal project suggests comparisons with the erection of the huge pyramids of Egypt or the great temples of the Maya. So clearly, this monumental technology was the key factor that allowed the desert-dwelling people to inhabit the extremely harsh region for well over 1,000 years. So this is a long. Again, you've got a high culture which I had never heard of, to be honest with you. Only in the research of the number 33 came it up. If you skip across the Atlantic, though, to the same parallel with the 33rd, we come to a number of intriguing sites. For instance, at 33 degrees 19 minutes is the old Phoenician seaport of Tyre, and that's about 5 miles south of Beirut. So it's in present-day Lebanon, and that goes back as far as 5,000 BC, so some 7,000 years in the past. And there's some connections there to trading and whatnot. Another interesting city near the 33rd parallel is Byblos, which is a bit farther north of Tyre at latitude of 34 degrees 8 minutes. The name of the city-state is derived from the Greek ta-b-blia, which means book or the Bible, really the book. The invention of Phoenician alphabetic phonetic script occurred here and eventually spread to the Greek world. So our script, which the Romans then took over, changed, of course, it's Cyrillic anymore, happened in that city on the 33rd parallel. By east is Baalbek, and we Baalbek. In fact, one of our questions later on will refer to Baalbek. It's a megalithic temple on which the Romans built the temple of Jupiter. And it was constructed with some of the largest blocks ever cut in the world. And it was extracted and hauled from a quarry miles away. That came up in dinner conversation yesterday, Dave.
Sure did.
And quite a few wide eyes talk about it. Now, these megaliths are over 4 and weigh 1,100 tons. Okay? That's, and again, to say this now, anybody out there who can lift 1,000-ton weight, please send me an email, because I want to know how you do it.
And show me the machine, etc. You know, Meki, the top 50 megaliths around the world, found around the world, it is number 2 only to one that was never lifted.
Mm-hmm.
So the one that is the greatest one that has been moved is this stone.
Yep.
At just a little greater than 1,000 tons. I'd have to say that is a monumental achievement to be able to lift something of that size.
Agreed. Now, I don't want to preclude our questions here. That later, but bear in mind what Dave just said. He's 100% correct. If you go a bit further east and you go, you come to Baghdad with Babylon, which is located about 55 miles to the south of Baghdad. Now, this ancient capital of Mesopotamia on the banks of the Euphrates River was once the largest city in the world, encompassing over 2,500 acres. So it's a massive city. Now, what they constructed there was a ziggurat. Okay, and with a base on each side measuring the same distance, so height of 300 feet and then 300 feet wide, if you will. This measurement apparently equals the length of the Ho-Ho-Cam platform mount at Pueblo Grande in Phoenix, Arizona. So they're the same size. And again, I haven't heard of the Ho-Ho-Cams, so this is astonishing for me as well. On the eastern side of Babylon was an outer rampart of triple wall construction extending for 11 miles. A network of irrigation canals reminiscent of the Ho-Ho-Cam also once served the city. In addition, the terraced hanging gardens were one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. You might have heard of the hanging gardens. Okay, great. Now, if you travel along the from the Middle East to the Far East, we encountered the fabulous White Pyramid, located about 60 miles southwest of Xi'an, in the Qinling Shan Mountains of China's Shenxi province. This city was made famous for the nearby discovery of the terracotta warriors. And you know those guys that were standing in rows and rows of trenches?
And each one was different.
Each one was individual, 100% correct. Absolutely right, Dave. They were not just, like a
cast.
No, this was individually constructed. Mm-hmm. Beards, haircuts and whatnot. Go on.
It is actually believed that they were the representation of the actual person.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're 100% correct. So some even believe that the warriors will come back to life one day when China needs them. Whether or not that's true,
they could have been magically frozen as terracotta. Do you know what I mean? That's
the
way it goes.
Now, resting at almost the same latitude as Phoenix is 33.5 degrees, this massive stepped pyramid constructed of clay is estimated to be 1,000 feet high and 1,500 feet at the base. Now, so far, this structure hasn't been studied in detail, certainly not by anyone in the West, but it is thought to be about 4,000 to 5,000 years old. The approximate age, the pyramids at Giza. Now, apparently, the White Pyramid was built after the old emperors known as the Sons of Heaven to Earth in their fiery, metallic dragons and began to rule China. Let me say
metallic dragons.
Now they, after the old emperors, known as the Sons of Heaven, descended to Earth in the fiery metal dragons and began to rule China. So you can make of that what you will. So, Dave, how long does it take for an ICBM missile from Russia to hit New York City?
Thanks to Canis Major and a movie that it was in, it takes 33 minutes.
That's not true.
No, it's true.
Oh, man, unbelievable.
Remember, we're talking about a ballistic missile. So it shoots up into the atmosphere about half of that way and then starts to come back down again to its target.
That's unbelievable.
Hmm.
That is crazy stuff. Um, Now we can go on talking about the number 33 and the things that were built. Uh, I think our point here that there seems to be an unusual, I guess, grouping of civilizations that huddle around the 33rd degree parallel. Is it maybe, is it the climate? Is it some other factor? Is it something? Some believe it's a ley line connection. So ley lines are these I guess power lines that the ancients are meant to have used and accessed through their monolithic structures, some kind of energy grid, and maybe the 33rd degree parallel was the most easily accessible. I don't know, maybe. Apparently, about 40 miles due east of the small town of San Carlos in Arizona, which is 30 degrees 24 minutes, is a point of 15. This huge masonry pueblo contained 800 rooms, a central plaza, a surrounding wall, and a great kiva. The site is also one of the few in the southwest that shows evidence of 3 different cultures living together: the Hohokam, the Mogolon, and the Anasazi. Now, I don't know if you remember the Anasazi. The last group migrating from the Hopi country to the north. The population there was estimated to be between 2,000 and 3,000. Now, the Anasazi are very interesting because they have memory as well of ancient times and potentially visitors from elsewhere. So, again, the question out there is this: what does the 33rd parallel do for us, the latitude? What happens there? What number 33 mean in general? Is there some connection? Is it in fact a factor because we have 33 vertebrae and there are 33 turns in our DNA? Is that the significance? Because the thing is this: I believe that most things in life happen for a reason, and clues are given to us by who? Clues are given to us as to the nature of our existence. And we just have to figure out why and how it all hangs together. I think that's our job here. And I think we have to look at everything. That's why Dave and I brought you the number 33. So today's show brought to you by the number 33.
Do you know there is a ley line at the 33rd parallel?
Right. So is it the most easily accessible, maybe? Is it maybe one that's resonating with patterns? I don't. But it certainly seems to have sparked a number of civilizations in the early days of this particular cycle. And they built similar things as well, right? In stone, which is important. So pyramidal structures. You've got the pyramid of mounds, you can call it. In America, you've got the pyramids in the Middle East, and the White Pyramid, which is also more like a step pyramid in China. And you can Google that for yourself. I think a German discovered this some time ago, but it hasn't been fully explored yet. So I don't know. I guess it's possible that there is something to that. But that's enough about the number 33, I think, unless we have some more on the 33.
Well, I've been having a look at this, and there's a story. I'm just gonna paste it. I think it's better off making your own judgment on this one. We get our information from a lot of sources, pretty much all over the world, not only on the internet but in encyclopedias and as far back as we can go, and with people who might know something will take that as far as it goes. So what I've I thought it probably best to bring this to everyone's attention. So have a read, while the break is on and have a look at some extra information. We're going to put this in the show notes anyway. Like it's astounding. I mean, and this includes links in itself as well. But it's not where we've gotten our information from. But that's, I mean, it looks like there's about a week worth of reading in that link.
No, this is an amazing. We didn't get it from there. We get it from a whole bunch of other places.
Yep.
And you're right. There's a lot of reading there.
My goodness. Right, but dead set. Have a look. Yeah. Look. Do you know what I think ley lines deserve a whole show to themselves.
Oh, totally. But before we move on from this, on this side, guys, this is astonishing. The death row in Mississippi is located in Parchman, Mississippi in Sunflower County, which is at 33 degrees and 92 minutes. A death row in Georgia, located in Jackson, Georgia, latitude 3329. Mississippi, blah, blah. Then you've got death row in Georgia for women, latitude 3365. Death row, South Carolina, Ridgeville, 33 and 3 minutes. Rawalpindi District Jail in Rawalpindi, Pakistan, military capital, latitude 33 degrees 35 minutes. House of Horrors, Abu Ghraib Prison, latitude north 33 degrees.
What about the death row, House of Horrors? Abu Ghraib, prison. Yeah, good, that was the one. Death row for Lebanon. Have a look, 33.6. So, there's all the death row in Tennessee too, located in Nashville, 36. Oh, okay, but it's nearly identical to the one in Carthage, in Tunisia. Look, there's a lot of info. Please go through it. I think ley lines. I think there's a whole ley line show, and all we do is, like, we try and collect it. Remember, we try and collect the info and serve it to you guys.
This is
I know I've stumped my co-host with a bamboozling amount of information. Look, what I'm going to say is this is right up before the break. If you've got some idle time, jump across to shinysideout.net and visit our page. We've created a page outside of Freedom Slips only for the fact that we had to make one anyway. So we do love Freedom Slips. It's awesome. It gives us an opportunity to talk about what we want. It's commercial free, but you know what? Find the donate button, get onto Freedom Slips, and it's listener funded. Couldn't be done without Hawk, and he can't do it without you, and we can't do it without him.
Give.
And if you got a spare $5, $1, we don't really mind what it is, but I don't want to be on my knees begging with a cardboard sign, right? But we'll see you after the break for another Shiny Side Out.
Yes. Listening to Revolution Radio. We'll be right back after this short break, so stay tuned.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Is your data safe? You have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation. Is survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Do you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is? Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or a computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it. I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Intuitive improvisation is the secret of genius.
I want to break free.
Oh, I see.
I put my pants on,
So,
just like the rest of you, one leg at a time.
I guess I'll have to watch.
Guess what? I got a fever, and the only prescription is more coca.
Uh-huh.
I turned cities into salt.
Oh, okay.
You gotta come work for me.
Right. Uh-huh.
I could get you in now. You love it. Nobody tells you when to go to bed.
If you want to call in, sure.
All day, all night.
If you want to fight or you got something more important,
You eat all the ice cream you want.
I'll take that too.
You're talking to me all wrong. It's the
Um,
wrong
I'm
tone.
not adding all these people. I don't know all these people. So, oh, I see. Right. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm challenged.
Changing reality with the hijacker. Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern.
All right. Thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And yeah, we're going to get back to your host.
Okay, Meckie's still muted.
So he is, but doesn't stop you from joining us. Another volume of Shiny Side Out on freedomslips.com and Revolution Radio. And you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook. You know, you can come to the chat, which we prefer. You can also listen to us on YouTube after the fact. In fact, if you are listening to us on YouTube right now, come and visit our site. Come and visit freedomslips.com. Have a look at the web pages. All the show notes are there. And do remember that all of the great programs that are running on this particular radio station are free. They're entirely listener supported, which means you guys. And Nighthawk and the crew are doing a great job to keep this station alive and running, I think, and it's worth to support it. And we form a small piece of the puzzle. As I said, there are many other shows on this which you should check out. They're quite good. And over to you, Dave. You found an amazing link just earlier, and can you just please go through all of the crazy things that are on the 33rd?
Oh no! Look, actually, I don't think there's enough time.
Yep.
We'd have to seriously run a whole another hour just reading through it. But one of the things that I'm looking at, a tidbit from you and a tidbit from me. Hey, how's that sound? Okay, so we've got. I was just reading it. Hang on. I scrolled too far. Okay, so. The spear combines 1. Not mere human sacrifice, but the sacrifice of a deity, and 2. The 33rd parallel. And there's a link there to Holy Lands. Hitler had the lance sent in an armoured train to Nuremberg on October 13, the same day the Knight Templars were put out of business.
Well, killed by the Catholic Church.
yeah, well, that's all right. U.S. General Patton knew of the power of the spear, wanted to claim it for the United States, and the end of the threat of the Soviet Union right then and there. Patton was allegedly assassinated, and there was various theories behind this. Patton was against looking at artifacts. Sorry, against the looting of artifacts and art, which the Bush funded, which the Bush funded Nazis engaged in on a vast, breathtaking scale. Okay, so they got the looting, blah blah blah, and it was all talking about the 33rd parallel.
Now, what is astonishing, every country apparently through which the 33rd parallel passes has the death penalty. Okay? Now, the only exception apparently since the year 2000 is Bermuda, but so what? So the United States, yes. Japan, yes. I'm saying yes to the death penalty. China and occupied Tibet, yes. India, yes. Pakistan, yes. Afghanistan, yes. Iran, yes. Algeria, yes. Morocco, yes. Tunisia, yes.
No.
Iraq, yes. Syria, yes. Yes. Israel, yes. Parallel, all of them.
Wow. Now, the Process Church was big in California, the 33rd parallel, Golden State, California. Kali is Hindu goddesses of death and fornicatia.
Oh, really?
Look, it's honestly too much in here.
Sorry, guys. This like I reckon this is a small book, to be honest with you. And if you want, go to the link yourself. It's www.unexplainable.net. If you're listening to us on YouTube, go to the show notes. The link will be there. But this is incredible. I didn't think there would be this much on 33, Dave.
No. The music industry and the 33rd parallel influences from India and California. Everyone has seen video or even cartoons of the Hindu fakir lulling a deadly cobra into docility through the music and movement. The concept behind the modern rock music with heavy emphasis on rhythm or pounding and string instruments such as the guitar, and in India sitar, is very well known. So they're even suggesting that the music industry is using the Indian. Look, there's a lot that's borderline but out there, but look, if you use it simply as something you classify countries and their actions, and I think Meki came up with a better example. Honestly, it's too much to look at.
It's crazy. But yeah, so you can see there's a lot to numbers, and we will have a show on another few significant numbers. 13 is a significant number. There are a few more. 7 is one as well. You will find that prime numbers or numbers that are subprimes or semi-primes, which 33 is, are very important for some reason to us. Certainly 13, obviously, is, you look at DNA as well and chromosomes and what. However, we would like now, and this is where we should announce it, Dave, I guess, we would like to start the questions to the skeptics and potential debunkers out there. Now, these are questions that we thought up, which we find difficult, if not impossible, to answer with current knowledge and what the science allows us to do, accepted framework, right, Dave?
Yep.
If you're thinking outside the box, it becomes very hard. Sorry, it becomes impossible. If you're thinking inside the box, it becomes impossible to answer. If you're outside the box, answers may appear to these questions. I think we should take these in turn, maybe.
Yeah, one at a time.
Okay, so how and why, and this is the first question we've already asked, how and why did they move 1,000-ton stone blocks to a site to build a platform for a supposed temple? Well, it became a temple under the Romans. They built a temple of Jupiter on top of it. It's the valley of Becca, the Becca Valley. It's Baalbek is the complex I'm referring to. The Becca Valley happens to be in Lebanon and could not be accessed for decades because it's either the Hezbollah. I think the Hezbollah was training there. The Hezbollah were a Lebanese freedom fighter or terrorist organization, whichever way you look at it, what side of the fence you're on. But essentially, they used the Bekaa Valley to train. And interestingly enough, they were not bombed in the Bekaa Valley. Now, I can only assume that was so that this particular site would not be destroyed, the Temple of Baalbek. The question is, why on earth would you cut 1,000-ton stones when you can cut stones that weigh half a ton or 200? kilos. What necessitated the use of 1,000 ton stone blocks, and there are three of them, in the construction of the platform? And usually, last night when we spoke about this at dinner, we said, well, because it's probably those guys, it was the easiest way. We need these, 1,000-ton weight, and the easiest way is just to get 1,000-ton weight moved in one go. Today, of course, we can't really do that. We wouldn't do it. We would get prefab stuff and just dump it somewhere. But Dave, I mean, this is really a mystery, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is. The only reason you would cut a stone that weighed 1,000 tons. Now I'm going to tell you, it's 20 yards by 4.8 by 4.1 yards. That's the dimensions of the rock. That's single rock. And I can't for the life of me understand why you would make something that you couldn't move. And clearly they could move it because they'd moved three others and there was still one that they hadn't quite got to the site yet. And one of the questions that came up last night was sorry, that's right. The question was, clearly they'd cut it out of the stone where it sat, where we've discovered them to be, and they didn't really move them at all. But no, in fact, they're sitting on top of smaller stones that were perfectly cut and square right angles to each other and all placed in as one block, right, as a monolithic structure, as we build a wall today. But they were just a single layer and they're being put on top of those. That is something absolutely amazing.
Yep. I'm just pasting in the link to some images, guys.
Yeah, awesome.
These are that were taken off the site, and these are there in comparison.
So really, I mean, you wouldn't make a stone like that unless you could move it. And so today we don't make stones like that because it just makes more sense. We don't have to think about the machine you would need to be able to lift a stone like that today. But we mentioned this last night. In fact, you mentioned this, Mickey, and that is that you can build a machine to do something like that. It would be a one-off machine, and we would move the rock, place it, and then dismantle the machine and take it away. More than likely. It'd be hideously expensive. The task would be much better suited to either pouring it as a single pour in cement, but you'd never do it without it cracking. You just can't do it, and we don't consider it in engineering because it just doesn't make sense.
Yep. Give you an example. Is an engineer, and I haven't seen him in a while, but he used to work for, I think, one of the resources companies, and he was in charge of calculating on how to set up a huge crane. Okay, this was a crane that was lifting hundreds of tons of stuff, and he got it wrong. Okay.
Oh no.
Tens of thousands and maybe more to dismantle it and build it again, and he made a tiny calculation error. Okay. Now, this is he's a smart guy. We're really advanced, and and it takes a lot of. And he talked me through what it takes to actually set it up. You can't just build a crane and hope that it works. Now, you have to calculate it. You have to have counterweights. You have to get it just right. You have to make sure that where you put it, it doesn't sink into the ground. The material that you use has to have a certain tensile strength. So there's a vast array of things you have to consider.
If you've never moved one before, especially, there's no evidence that any stones are this large. It is the largest set of stones that have ever been moved on the planet that we can find.
Yes, that's it.
So they've never done it before, haven't done it since, and I can't. Crazy. Sorry, tones just made me do it. There isn't any other proof that has been made. So if it was a one shot and they had a machine to do it, I'd be very, very impressed with it. But I think the question is really what the question is. Let's relive the question. How and why did they move the 1,000-ton stone blocks in Baalbek?
That's it. That's the question, guys. Please. And we are looking for an answer, by the way. Rhetorical question.
Yes, it's not rhetorical. Absolutely not rhetorical. Let's get out there. So I'm gonna ask a question now, and this is: how did they manufacture the inside of the sarcophagus in the Great Pyramid? And as we know, just so if you don't know, it's it's machined. It's been cut from a single block of granite. It's rough cut on the outside, but on the inside it's smooth and all right angles. The walls of the sarcophagus are impossibly thin for its size. To lift it today would be a tough ask, just to move it round and not have it crack. If anyone listening is doing granite bench tops, you would absolutely know what we're talking about. You cut a hole for a sink. The reason why they don't cut it before they take it to site is because that creates weak points. It's very thin, so I think they have the same kind of thing, except we have tremendous machines for doing this. There is something also about it, is that cutting a right angle from the inside of a thin granite sarcophagus is actually pretty tough without it breaking. So I would like to see all the failures that they had, but we haven't found any.
And the thing is this. Now, today we are hard pressed to do this, and we probably use laser cutters and really high powered drills that are running at several tens of thousands of RPMs to do it, and cooling it is another thing.
Carbide tip, it'd be air tools with lot of water being pumped over it.
Of that, exactly. Now we can do it today. I'm not saying that we can't. Absolutely we can. What they are saying, the Egyptologists specifically, is that it was done with copper tools and mullets made of wood.
Yep.
So you got a chisel made of copper. Now, copper is a fairly soft metal. I don't know if you guys, these days, we don't really use much copper. Let me say, though, that once steel came along, the peoples that still had copper swords were pretty much extinct within a very short time. Steel being much, much stronger than copper. Copper is quite soft. I mean, it's stronger than wood, don't get me wrong, but to cut granite, and it's actually, granite is a very hard stone. It's a very, very hard stone to cut. The other thing about the sarcophagus is there's no way that they could have gotten it into it after the pyramid was built.
So you're saying that if you were to have made a whole bunch of them, right, while they're building it, and then you turn up with it, and they go, but no, we said the doorway was going to be this big. Oops. They couldn't get it in the door. There's no way to get that sarcophagus in the door and up through all the ramps and where it was, because the doors were too small. So it had to have been put in there at construction time.
Yes, that is exactly right. It is really the inside sarcophagus that Dave and I want an answer to. How did they do it? And then, you know what? Prove it. Do it. Don't just say that's how they did it. Just do it then, right? And get someone or hire someone, I'll pay for them, and they can do it. It's a small piece of granite, 1 meter by 1 meter, and you tell me how it's done. I will hire a stonemason to do it the way they did it. Okay?
Completely. Just cutting it with copper tools is hard enough. Now, the only examples they've had of sawing copper is by using sand, a silica, which has an amazing ability to make a straight cut. But we're not talking about cutting a slab into two pieces. We're talking about honing out the inside of something with right angles and leaving a very thin veneer on the outside, which wasn't glued together. It's one piece. Good luck. Good luck with that.
That's exactly right, right?
Right. Not only that, but film yourself doing it. Yeah. Go on. I don't care. I'll watch 30-part video on YouTube if you can do it. Right? Come on the show. We'll get you to do it live. We'll film it and put it on.
And we will say you're right and we're wrong, and that's cool because then I can sleep at night. We are not leaving the pyramids yet.
Hey, wait. The last piece of this is that I've heard that the external measurements of the Ark of the Covenant actually match the internal dimensions of the sarcophagus. And remember, there wasn't anything found in that sarcophagus.
That's right. It was empty.
It was completely empty. So, good luck.
I mean, this so the covenant as it is described in the Bible, right? The measurements are given and someone has actually built it. So what he's saying is that the Ark of the Covenant exactly fits into the sarcophagus in the Great Pyramid. Is that what you're saying, Dave?
That's what I'm saying.
It's insane.
It looks as though that the pyramid was actually a power source. But anyway, we'll find that out a bit later. And if you're a Revolution fan, maybe it just generated electricity. Who knows? Revolution, the TV series. So, what's the next thing, Mackie? We're talking about pyramids still.
We're still going we're still sticking with the pyramids because I mean people are now, after having seen many movies, even to the point where they've seen mammoths dragging large stone blocks across a massive ramp to build the pyramids. I am still not convinced that's how they were built.
Mammoths.
Did you see the movie? I think it was 20 C or something, or 10,000 BC.
Oh yeah, that's the CG epic. Yep.
It's hilarious. But whatever. I mean, it's funny, and I enjoyed it, for what it was. But so the thing is this: they are really large, heavy blocks. They are it's perfectly aligned to the cardinal points, north, south, east, west. It hasn't sunk at all. When you build a building today, building standards in Australia are, I think it allows 10 centimeters every 100 years. I think that's the fault tolerance. So your house is allowed to sink into the ground at the rate of 10 centimeters a year, settling and movement and all kinds of things. That's acceptable. Now, the pyramid has not sunk at all. Yeah, the sand has blown up around it, but it was built on a plateau of rock, and it hasn't moved since it was built. It was by far the greatest engineering achievement that we've ever put together, apart from lifting the 1,000-ton blocks, because of its complexity, internally as well as externally. Back in the day, when it was in its glory, it was faced with white marble, I believe, or certainly white stone.
A limestone or something like that. There was So
it was a beacon. When the shown it was a beacon. It was meant to have, I don't know if it's true or not, a golden apex.
Yep.
So it's meant to be made of gold. So it was a white, gleaming object with a golden capstone, which would have been seen, well, to the horizon, I would imagine, during midday sun. Now, how was it built? Okay, so that's the first question, right? How? How did they do it? Some people believe there was like a water system. Other people there was a sand ramp. The sand ramp would have been a larger construction project than the pyramid.
And modified throughout the entire process.
100%. Now, how many people would it have taken? They say, 100,000 people, because they loved the pharaoh. That's why they did it. It was a labor of love. Yeah, okay, right. If you believe that. Sure. And then another question that I have is why were the pyramids built? All the pharaohs were buried in the Valley of the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Not a one was buried in the pyramids. Not one. There are no inscriptions inside the Great Pyramid, except for some fakes, I think, that were found by the French guy. Whose name now? But
with a paintbrush in his hand. Yeah. Oops.
And there was also some spelling mistakes in his cartouches. But so there's no inscription inside. There are no, oddly enough, there are no soot marks on the ceiling. Now, soot marks would indicate that their torches were used to illuminate the inside. With
burning tar. Remember, they're on the largest oil reserve on the globe that we understand. That's easy access. So they would have had tar, burning tar, and things like that. They didn't have lanterns, of course, but they had pretty close. They had oil lamps. So if they had those, they leave tar, they leave residue on the ceilings and on the walls, and that's found anywhere that anyone has tried to do anything like that. They never use that, and Jason Martell has spoken at length about them, the Baghdad Battery, and there's one hieroglyph that shows there being something looks like a CRT tube.
Yes. So
the possibility that they had electricity to light the insides while it was dark and they were working on it is actually quite high. So
absolutely.
But I think Meckie's right. In the question here, the question is how and why were the pyramids built? I think that needs to be answered. These are good questions. And this is why there is so much. There's so much that the question comes up so often because there is no answer yet. You come up with an answer. You tell us why, and we'll get you on the show.
Absolutely, 100%. Why? Why? It's a massive project. Next question, Dave.
Oh, and I like this one a lot. Placebos. The question we have is, why are we not investigating the placebo effect more thoroughly? Why aren't we looking into it? It clearly has an effect, because usually around about 50% of the people, when they're testing a brand new drug, get better just by thinking about getting better. And the other 50% are attributed to taking the drug. They have a dual blind control experiment where they administer placebos to a random amount of people, and the other people are given so the people aren't aware that they're receiving the real drug or a placebo, just sugar capsules or whatever, and they have to tell you whether they get better or not. Now, the people who do get better, it's roughly 50-50. In some drugs, there's a lot more. It's like 70-80%. The drug works really well. But in the ones where the placebo won, how is that possible? Are you telling me that you can get better by thinking about it? Absolutely.
And the thing is this, scientists and the medical profession specifically, and I know a few doctors, I raise this quite often. I say, look, obviously something happened there which made this person get better. Cancer, there was total remission and the person had another week to live, but now they're cured. Yeah, that's the placebo effect. And I go, right. Well, what does that mean? It's the placebo effect.
It meant they got better on their own.
Okay, so don't you think that's amazing? Yeah, but it's just the placebo effect. No, you're not listening to me. They didn't take the medication. They had another week to live, and they got better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It wasn't. The doctor didn't say misdiagnosis.
No. And they say, no, Mackie, look, it was just a placebo effect. So what we do as human beings, we give something a name. We've dealt with it. Mystery over. It's a placebo effect. Move on. Thank you very much.
I love your description of that. Mystery over. That's done. We're done with that now.
It's crazy. This is probably maybe the single most important potential medical breakthrough ever. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
No more medication. You will think yourself well. Can you grasp the ramifications of that? I mean, come on.
Be careful. There's a lot of vested interest in medication. So I'm going to say we can, to a certain extent, will ourselves better. I know the complete opposite. If we're looking at the other side of the coin of this, if you simply break your leg, but you're unable to see it, and I'm treating you for the first time, no one else has found you, and you're lying on the side of the road, whatever it is, you've simply got a broken leg, I can make you die. I can convince you that that's bad enough and you will just give up and die. Or I can turn you completely around and go, oh, look, man, it's only a broken leg. Look, this is a thing. Let's just get you off the hospital and they do an X-ray and they'll put you in a cast and you'll be hobbling around for a while, but you'll be great. You can. This is taught. This is taught by St. John's Ambulance. That if you don't treat them right, if you go, oh my God, I've never known, you can send them down that path of death. And there have had instances where people have only had a broken leg and have died purely because of the reaction of the first aider that attended them. And it sounds completely ludicrous. I'm with you. But those people who have an iron constitution, strongest will, they'll live through anything.
Yes. And
this is where the question comes from, and it is, why aren't we investigating this further? Maybe there's millions of dollars worth of investigation, but it's just never been revealed because it's the drug companies that are doing it. Maybe they understand. Maybe it's they don't have to research half of the medications that they do, and it's just sugar tablets. We don't know. Are you a chemist? Have you crushed up the tablets and put it through a mass spectrometer to find out exactly what it is? Probably, I doubt it, right? We don't know.
We have no clue. We have no clue.
No, please, if you're a whistleblower telling us all this stuff, awesome. Come on the show. We'd love to hear you.
If you're a skeptic, tell me why this is not important, why it shouldn't be investigated. Now, the next one is a pet one of mine. Why is it impossible for human beings, to be older than 200,000 years? Now, it's give or take. It's constantly moving back the age of the oldest humans, right? 200,000, 300, whatever. But it's within a certain limitation. Now,
who's saying it's impossible, Mickey?
Well, established science, right? So the theory of evolution, established science, the oldest human, Homo sapiens remains about now maybe 300,000 years old. There's still a bit of shift. Talk about dating things, carbon dating, absolute dating as to relative dating. So there's still a margin of error, but not much older than 200 or 300 years. That's Homo sapiens for you. Now, the theory of evolution states that organism constantly evolves and changes into something else. Over time, the little changes go into big changes and whatever. There's another theory which is called punctuated equilibrium, which presupposes larger jumps, not small incremental changes, but rather larger changes, that might come in a few generations. But my thing is this: if you look at sharks and crocodiles, they haven't changed in hundreds of millions of years.
Yeah, not even an iota, except for maybe size. Exactly. But that's all.
That's exactly right. It's size that changed. But you know what? A shark that is 50 meters long is still a shark when it's 10 meters long and 5 meters long and 2 meters long. It's still a shark.
Exactly.
So, and crocodiles, I don't care how big the crocodile gets or how small it gets, it is still a crocodile. It's not a butterfly, okay? And the shark is not a horse. Mm-hmm. It's a shark. So, in my mind, if an organism has reached a certain stage in its evolutionary path, and I'm not saying there is no evolution, certainly there's adaptation. I don't know, because it's still a theory. There's no absolute proof for anything either way. But if it reaches a certain stage in its evolutionary process, maybe it doesn't need to evolve anymore. Maybe it has filled the niche where it sits, and maybe human beings, such as we are, reached that stage at some point in the past. I'm not saying there weren't extinction level events where only a few of us survived, the mitochondrial Eve, about 100,000 years ago. But I think potentially human beings could have been around for a very long time in their present makeup, in their present form, if you will. Mm-hmm. Maybe taller, maybe smaller. But it doesn't make a difference if you're a dwarf or a giant. You're still a human being.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's the point I'm trying to make. So I want to know why it is impossible. And don't tell me it's because of the fossil record, because the fossil record is incomplete. We haven't dug up everything on the planet. Okay?
Yeah, we haven't sifted through every grain of dirt.
And you know what? The formation of fossils is an extremely unlikely event. It's a fact.
It has to be covered over, not consumed by creatures, and it has to be in an oxygen-free environment.
Absolutely correct. And any scientist worth his salt that knows anything about fossilization will tell you that. It's an extremely unlikely event. Sometimes we're lucky, right? We get like this bed of fossils and, strata and layers, and that's great. That's wonderful. That is one location on the planet, another location here. There's maybe, even if there's 1,000 locations on the planet, okay, we still haven't looked everywhere and we haven't found anything. And it seems, though, that we have found some things that are a lot older than we would give them credit for, but we dismissed because they were, dug up by amateurs, or they were dug up at a time when we don't think people could think critically, 100 years ago, 150 years. So my question is, why is it impossible for human beings to be older than 200,000 years? Why couldn't we have lived on this planet for 100 million years? Right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Look, can you take this, Mackie, because you spoke about this last night and you're passionate about it too.
Okay. So, this is an important one because it sort of hooks into the question we just had now. Why are the descriptions of ancient warfare in the Indian Vedas so eerily reminiscent of atomic modern warfare? So you have the Mahabharata and you've got other Indian epics that speak of bulls, of powerful missiles that destroy entire peoples and entire cities. They talk about elephants and trees being flung about like toys. They speak about soldiers that try to wash themselves off in the river. They talk about soldiers that were exposed to these weapons that lose their fingernails, their teeth,
and hair.
right? So these are all in modern terms. I'm not saying it's exactly the same kind of weapon. I'm sure there are other kinds of technology which could produce that kind of weaponized effect on us. But certainly it sounds a lot like atomic or nuclear radiation. Why are these descriptions so familiar? Why are they so accurate? I mean, if they are really just figments of imagination, they shouldn't be this accurate. They shouldn't describe indeed the things that happened and how creatures were blinded and lost orientation, fell to the ground, how soldiers tried to wash off the effects of the weapon. It makes sense. I mean, obviously, radiation needs to be treated in a specific way, and you can wash off some of it. If you get rid of it into a secure location, chances are you will die anyway, though. And it talks about the destruction of entire cities. Okay, this is coming from these Vedas, these books, these works of epic proportions are thousands of years old. They predate Western culture by thousands of years, and only recently, with the modern eye, looking at it, do we understand that there's something odd there. They talk about vimanas, which are flying machines, described in intricate detail, dozens of models. They were powered by mercury and orichalco. Now, orichalco, we don't know really what that means, and we have presupposed, Dave and I, in another show, that it might be monatomic gold, potentially. But these machines were driven by mercury and orichalco. And all these gods and heroes had their own vimanas, and they were some really big, some were small, some actually managed to fly outside the atmosphere in descriptions in these books. So, why is that? Is it a coincidence? Is it just the imagination of the writers from thousands of years ago? Really? Man, that's pretty good imagination. Okay, and
yeah, especially when they knew nothing of radiation.
Yeah. Well,
and then they didn't have flight.
You think so, right? At least what accepted today. We believe that's what it is. I think that's wrong, but.
So I've got I love that. So why are the descriptions of the ancient warfare in the Indian Vedas so eerily reminiscent of atomic warfare? Right? I've got. Can I do two moons together into one? All right. So why this is the question that and it comes up all the time. The debunkers are attempting to use the photography that's been released by NASA. And found that NASA even changes what they do when they announce they've found something in a photo. That NASA changes it and then releases it again, and that's been found over and over again. But the question here is, why are some NASA photos smudged and/or deliberately altered? You're thinking about it, yeah, it makes a little bit of understand. Like you can understand why, from NASA point of view, we talked about NASA being created by the U.S. military. It is a military operation. It is not a public space faring agency. It's not public at all. They created the Brookings report to allow their findings to be top secret. That's simple as. Let's just put it down to that. However, still, if the moon is just an obligatory rock going around us and there's nothing on it, and all the stuff is true that they tell us, why would there be any alterations on any photographs? Makes no sense. It just doesn't. It's like, oh, I went on holidays to, Acapulco, and you show your friends these photos with smudged out faces, or you found a rock in your hand and you've smudged it out, or it wasn't where you were on the day. Right? Or you've even shown photos from a different holiday that you went on. The only reason any of that stuff would be there is if they were covering it up. Whatever it was, they didn't want you to see what was really there. And why would they even bother showing you the photo in the first place? They could have just shown us a photo of the moon. Yeah, we went there. The cameras didn't work, sorry. But they make the attempt, to do it, and it's all good. And I don't understand how a single square block can be, completely square block can be blurred out. and you can see sort of something underneath it. These things, and please visit Jose Escamilla's website, watch his films. It's not just him, but from everything, right? So, that's the question. If you can bring something to light, saying how innocent everything is, please do. Whistleblowers welcome. The next one is, why did the moon ring like a bell? Now, it rang like a bell twice. One with the LEM when they jettisoned it, the orbiter, and they flew the orbiter back to Earth. They discarded the LEM and it hit, and the laser equipment that reflected off the reflectors there showed the harmonic ringing in frequency of the compression waves, the S and P waves going around the moon and round and round and round. It makes no sense. If it hit the soft materials that you would find in Earth that they talked about, the meters of dust, it would have just gone poof, and that would have been pretty much it. But it wasn't, and it rang like a bell. The second time they went, oh, that last thing was pretty cool. Let's do it again, but maybe at full speed with a 2-ton object. And it rang for hours like a bell. The only description that NASA could ever come up with is that maybe it's hollow. And they've spent more money. In fact, they never revisited it again since the second time. Right? They've only ever had a stand away tactic. Let's not land. It's all good. Oh, it looks like it's a unicorn stampede, says Nighthawk. All right. Yeah, look, Nighthawk, we're asking the debunking questions. Come on, anyone with anything, let us know. All right. Meki.
Indeed. Now, the next one is it's just a brief question, but I don't want to go into too much detail because we're going to talk about ESP and some other shows going forward. But this is the question: what were the results of the United States and the Soviet Union's research into the weaponization of ESP? So what I'm talking about is remote viewing, potentially remote killing, certainly, used for communications as well, potentially telepathy. I know that they did it. They admitted they have done research into this. Both the United States and now Russia have admitted that. The question is, what were the results? I mean, and I'm not just talking about the whistleblowers, right? I mean, of course, they've come up with some stuff, and some is misinformation, and some is probably true. I would love to understand what we found out, because that ties sort of into placebo for me, because it's the power of the mind. What can we do with our mind here? What can be done? Okay, again, debunkers out there, if you've got information that completely shoots that out of the water, please give it to me. I know for a fact that they have conducted research into this area. The Germans did as well, certainly, but definitely America and Russia have. So please, if anybody has any info, let's give us there. Yeah, look, the remote killing. It's tones, isn't it? Yeah. In the chat, somebody just said I slipped remote killing in there. Yeah. Well, the death praying is actually a cultural artifact in many cultures. The shamans or witch doctors or whatever they are have the power, or so the believers think, to kill at a distance just through prayer or intense thought. Okay, now if this is weaponized, it's very effective, because guess what? It's cheap and you don't have to send anyone, right?
Yeah, and you don't know who's shooting at you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the Australian Aboriginals had the same thing. And also voodoo.
Yes. Good point. Now, I've got a plane passing over my house, so I'm going on mute.
All right. So, look, why did the early church lead to a crusade against the Cathars? Is that spelt correctly, Meki? And destroy them?
Yes, Cathars.
Cathars. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. Now, anybody who's familiar with Dan Brown's work will have some idea what this is, but essentially, in the beginning, it's not as united as people. Early Christian church rather split into quite a few different factions and denominations. You had the Eastern Church, which was led out of Constantinople, which still survives to this day, and the faith is practiced in Greece and in the Slav countries like Bosnia or Russia. And you had the Catholic Church, which wasn't the Catholic Church then, it was just another form of Christianity, which was run out of Rome and had become the Roman state religion. And you had something else, which flourished for a time in the Languedoc region of France, and that they were called the Cathars. Now they were called heretics or heretics,
Heretics.
and the reason for the very first crusade that the church initiated, in fact, I think 400 or 500 years before they went to Jerusalem. So the early church went after the Cathars with a vengeance and destroyed them. Women, men, children, entire cities were laid to waste. And you might be familiar with a catchphrase: "Kill them all, let God sort them out."
Mm-hmm.
Familiar with it? Okay. Now, this catchphrase was born at the destruction of one of those cities. So the general went to, I think it was a bishop who was leading it, and he said, "Oh, look, this city has got some Cathars, but it's also got other people in there. So what should we do?" And the bishop, kill them all. God was on, and that's exactly what they pretended doing. And the horrific accounts we have of the time are that blood was running ankle deep in the streets. People were butchered. Stood women, men, children, old, young. It did not matter. They were all killed. The Cathars were very peculiar Christians. They were pacifists. They largely were vegetarian, believe it or not. They had the perfecti, which were sort of like monks or priests that would move from city to city, didn't own anything. Both men and women could do this, and they would, I guess, preach or meetings with the Cathars, and they would be supported by the community in their quest. And a few other things which were in the throne of the church. The Cathars believed that the God of the Testament was the bad guy, and the other guy was in fact the good guy. So we go into these kind of connections a bit later on in our cycle of shows. But suffice it to say that they incurred of the church, and they were called heretics, and they were destroyed to a person. Now, I want to know if what I just said is true. I want to know why they were destroyed. I want to know why this crusade came about. And it wasn't just about a competing faith. I mean, they happened to be very popular, yes, but was that enough to destroy them entirely? Interestingly enough, the Knights Templar did not take part in that crusade and were quite friendly with the Cathars. Which sort of leads into the next question, which I'm quickly taking here, Dave.
Go.
Did the Knights Templar uncover why were they destroyed? So some people believe the Knights Templar found something in Jerusalem. Maybe not. Or they found something while they were in the Middle East. They uncovered some truth. They found some treasure. I don't know. But some hundreds of years later, on Friday the 13th, in fact, we have Friday the 13th, they were also destroyed by the Catholic Church. Okay, they were all slaughtered. Or some believe some got away and went to Scotland, and some others believe they even might have settled in some places in the United States, well before Columbus, of course. Why were the Cathars and the Knights Templar both destroyed? What knowledge did they have that first gave them immense power in the case of the Knights Templar over the church, like immense power? They were the most powerful order in Europe. They were the richest order in Europe. And the Catholic, well, it wasn't the Catholic Church then, but the Church let them be. Something had changed in the dynamic and led to their destruction. I want to know, and I want to know why it isn't worthwhile investigating these things from you skeptics and debunkers. That's what I want.
All right, so I've got one as well. We're going to be nice and quick to the last lot of questions. Why do we find traces of tobacco and cocaine in Egyptian mummies? You know what? They were party animals. Or it was one of those "oops, my bad" moments during the testing of the mummies. Yeah, that was a night. Couldn't believe that the mummies came in on that night. Yeah, they had to, right?
Bear in mind, though, that tobacco and cocaine are indigenous to America.
Yeah, the Americas. Yeah, that's right.
Was there a trade route between the Americas and the Egyptians in prehistory? Of course, science will say no. However, there they are, these traces of tobacco and cocaine. and they have undergone rigorous testing, right? So
Yeah. We crushed up the mummies and snorted them. It was fantastic. You take the next one. Let's get through this. We've got 9 minutes.
to know what is being discussed at the Bilderberg meetings. We want full disclosure.
Transparency from the Bilderbergs. Like it's going to ever happen.
But no, look, that's what I want. If you're out there, tell me why I don't want that. Okay?
Yeah. Tell me why we don't want to know.
Okay, on to the next, Dave.
All right. Why are all cheaters clones of each other? There is so little diversity between them. And Lloyd Pye interview. If you please jump on YouTube and join and check out the interview, it's amazing. Honestly, he's Lloyd Pye himself suggests that there is that they were created poorly as a mix between a dog and a cat.
Mm-hmm.
What else, Beck?
Sorry. They reproduce very poorly as well because they are identical, genetically speaking, right? They fall prey to both cat and dog diseases, and they are the only large cat that has never attacked a human being.
Exactly.
Why? 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 And just quickly to the next one, sorry. Why are Nikola Tesla's patents, some of them anyway, still being kept under lock and key by the United States government? I want to know what is in those patents.
Anti-gravity for sure, or something equivalent. Maybe some energy weapons. These are our guesses, but tell us the truth.
Yes.
Why is our time measurement a system-based 12, which stems from, and correct us if we're wrong, ancient Sumeria?
Totally. Right? Why?
Does it? Why? Why? Really? I mean, time was there.
Base 2. Makes sense, all of those. Binary. 12? Unless at some stage we had 6 fingers and 6 toes.
Yeah, well, that was my relatives. So, if you use base 10, that makes sense. But, that really doesn't make sense. Now, Meki, how old is the Sphinx really?
That's a very good question, Dave. In fact, Robert Schoch, who was a geologist with a high pedigree, made the unfortunate mistake to become interested and be roped into this, and is now pretty much on the alternative circuit with us, I guess. He looked at the Sphinx. He investigated the Sphinx. He looked at the weathering patterns of the Sphinx, and he unequivocally stated, this is water weathering. Water weathering could only have occurred some 12 or 13,000 years ago in that area in the world. He had a debate with the Egyptologists. I think it was Mark Lehner and maybe Zahi Hawass.
That would have gone well.
And really, I actually watched it, and if you get the chance to watch it on YouTube, it might be there. Look. And he said, well, this is what it is. And he actually took pictures of the Sphinx without actually knowing what it is. You could look at a picture, and it was just a picture of a rock. And he showed that to his colleagues, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's water weathering. Oh yeah, that's right. This is the exact pattern that water would, use to weather stone, because the stone is of different hardness within the Sphinx, and these are the exact channels that water." And he would uncover the larger picture and show them the Sphinx, and they go, "Ooh, Robert, don't tell anyone what I just said." Okay, so how old is the Sphinx really? And I reckon it was a lion. Dave is with me on that one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And why can't it be that old? I mean, if it's not water weathering, bring the geologists in. Let them look at it and make a public statement. And I don't care if there's no supporting evidence from pottery shards or human remains at that time. If the Sphinx is water weathered, and we know through other supporting sciences that this kind of water weathering could only have occurred 12 to 13,000 years ago, guess what? That's when the Sphinx must be there.
It must have been there at least.
Yes.
And who knows how long it was underwater.
Absolutely. And just for Simon Says in the chat room, Bucktoon. We all like the Bucktoon.
Bucktoon. Really, it's crazy. So, what was found, Meki, in the Sphinx? Let's stay on the Sphinx. Last point. This is the question for all the debunkers. What was found in the hollows?
In the hollow spaces beneath the Sphinx. We know that ground-penetrating radar has located hollows beneath the Sphinx. Okay. Now, how is it that we have not heard anymore? People had their prophecies and he said that we will unlock the great library of ancient secrets, unlock this thing. You know, he said that in the 60s or 70s when he was in one of his trances. And we found the hollows. And you know what? How come nobody has dug? They have dug, why haven't they told us? What was found there? Debunkers, tell me why I should be interested in this. Okay.
Exactly. So, yeah, what was it? Well, we found hollows, right? That's known. But what was in there?
If nothing, okay, I can live with that too. It's cool. I just want to know, man. This is my disease. I need to know shit. Pardon my French. I really need to know stuff.
So, the reason why these questions have been put out, these are probably some of the most... They're annoying questions because I don't think there's... To be honest, we have problems trying to answer these ourselves. We come up with reasons for it, and it still yet doesn't match what is being taught to us. And in the show preceding ours, a fellow was in the American schooling system. I visited that for a short period of time. He said, I think it was in the 50s, the textbook, he dug up a copy in a garage sale. He found his copy of the same history book and nothing was changed. And he went through some 30 years later. Why was the history book the same? 30 years, surely something's changed. We've uncovered new information, new technology. Who knows? And I see this as very odd. Surely something new has come to light. We can't just stay in the history books. We can't believe that they're correct. If new stuff comes to light, they must be changed. Why are we teaching children the same stuff if it's not real?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's something very interesting that came in the chat just very quickly. I'll be in a minute. Unidentified 52268, a chat member, says that the How greeting, typically Indian How greeting, with the right hand open and in the air, was to allow each to assure the other that neither was an evil spirit. Evil spirits apparently had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each feet. I didn't know that. I'm going to investigate that.
52268, I have to say, next time, please come in with your name. Don't just hit accept and jump in. Come in, make yourself a name. You can be anything you want.
Yeah. Even if it's not my brother. Still not Mickey.
Still not Ricky's brother. Yeah.
This was good. I like it. This was it was a cleansing, a soul cleansing show today, I think.
I think so too. You know, 52268. It sounds like a George Lucas character. THX 1138 movie. So it's also the jail cell for Leia. Anyway, also mentioned in there that when we mentioned rang like a bell, the chat room person said, well, doesn't a bell have an open end? Yes. In the chat room, Vaubear, I think, responded back saying, even a sphere with holes in it will. But you are going to catch us next week for another Shiny Shout Out with... and Mecky. We love you guys. See you next week.